everybody, I'm Tom Vassell. Welcome to another board game breakfast. Okay, well, first of all, I apologize profusely, but there will be no board game breakfast next week. I'm about to go to 3 conventions in a row. First, I'm going to be at PAX East up in Boston, Massachusetts. I will be flying directly from there to Gamma trade show in Las Vegas, and then spending a day at MeepleCon, and then heading back home. So because of that, it's about a 10-day trip. There's just no time to get breakfast done in there, and I apologize for that, but we'll be back after that. Now, interestingly enough, there's a whole pile of things happening on top of each other. So I want to go through each of these things. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to PAX Prime. Now, when I'm at PAX East. When I'm at PAX East, I'm going to be doing 2 events on the Friday. The first one is a panel where I'm with other people from the board gaming world, and we're going to be talking about how do you know which game you should get next, etc. So come by that panel, say hi. That night, we're running a Wits and Wagers game. So if you ever want to see how one of our big Wits and Wagers games is run, this one might be the biggest one we've ever run. So, and they have celebrity teams who are playing for charity, so it should be a lot of fun. So come to both those events. Other than that, at PAX, I'm going to be just scouting. I'm going to be there walking around, it's just me. I'm going to be going around and looking at things. So if you're there, there's a good chance we could play a game together. Might even catch a snack together or something. Just you'll have to find me, but I'm not a hard person to find per se. So there's that. Come by and say, shut the door for me for my videos. So I'm looking forward to this. I've never been to PAX before, so that should be interesting. Then we're going to be going to Gamma, which means next week on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for 8 hours each day, we're going to be streaming live different interviews with the different publishers. We've done this every year. This year we're hoping to up our game. We're going to be doing the same thing we did last year, where we'll interview them, they're going to show off their thing, and then we're going to let you ask them questions live. So we're going to have that setup going. I got a whole huge team of people going to Gamma, so it should be fun and entertaining. And then MeepleCon, if you're there, I apologize, I'll only be there for 1 day because I do need to get back, but Sam and Z will be there for 2 days. Mike Parkinson will also be there, Derek will be there, and Joe Stedman, the first co-host of the Dice Tower. So there'll be a gang of us at all these different locations. Then when we come back, I'll have another board game breakfast, but probably that week, we're shutting down the Dice Tower completely because the Dice Tower is moving. Okay, we found a place that we're going to be moving to for the Dice Tower Studios. I'm not giving out the exact details of it yet because, again, it's not set in stone. But I have gone out in the last couple of days. We bought desks and we've bought a second monitor for our computers, so we're able to do better editing. We got wires and all sorts of things that we're getting to set the new place up. And then we got it. So I figure it's going to take us at least a week to move. It's going to be a work in progress. One of the things we're going to be doing is slowly building a set for at least our top 10 videos and other videos like that. And so that's going to take a bit more work to get that done. But, you know, I'm excited about it. So there's probably not going to be any way we're going to be able to get out a lot of videos that week also. So my apologies about that. However, those videos are still being made. We got lots of videos coming this week. In fact, today at 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, I'll be doing a live Q&A. So if you have any questions, that'd be a good time to talk to me. And then tonight, later on tonight, I'm going to be doing a live playthrough of Gloomhaven because I'm kind of addicted to the game. And so I want to play through again. My guys are at level 3, so it should be exciting. Anyway, so all that stuff is going on. That's a lot. Let's get to the news. Okay, well, first of all, in the news, I want to talk a little bit about Dice Tower Con. We've got the publishers lined up for Dice Tower Con. So here are the confirmed exhibitors for Dice Tower Con. Arcane Wonders, Cool Stuff, 8th Summit, Grey Fox, Eagle Griffin, Yellow, Broken Token, Tasty Minstrel Games, Mayday Games, QSF, Bezier Games, Formal Ferret, Tortured Earth RPG, Cool Mini or Not, Catan Studios, Devere, Attack Dice, Indie Boards and Cards, Big Kid Games, North Star Games, Renegade Games, NSKN, Asmodee North America, House Rules Gaming, Indie Game Alliance, Vile Genius, Queen Games, R&R, Druid City, Czech Games, Stronghold Games, and Upper Deck. That's a huge list, folks. If you have not yet gotten your tickets for Dice Tower Con, I don't know how many are left, but there's not a ton left. Go ahead and get them. But also, we wanted to talk about a contest that we're going to be running. One of the things that helps the convention out is when you stay at the hotel at the convention, the Caribe Royale, which, by the way, is an absolutely amazing, wonderful, best hotel of any convention I've gone to. 7 winners from 7 random people who have rooms at the hotel are going to be chosen and get a $75 gift certificate from Cool Stuff. All right, so that's just an extra benefit, an extra bonus if you get a room there for the convention. It's going to be random, of course. It's going to be a prize, but if you come and you spend that money, which helps out the convention in whole, there's a chance that you will get a $75 gift certificate, which can let you pretty much buy almost any game in the catalog. So I'm excited about that. All right, as for the rest of the news, we have a lot going on here. First of all, WizKids has announced a Sidekick League. This is kind of an interesting thing for many of their games. This is where an experienced player comes, and then they bring along a new player with them, and they play side by side. I'm all in favor of this, teaching new people how to get into the hobby. So I guess I don't know exactly how it works. Maybe I come with my sidekick, and you come with your sidekick, and the sidekicks play each other, so they're not getting trounced by people who are new into the hobby. Like I said, I always thought that the WizKids games, the tournament scene was a little bit more welcoming than many of the other tournament scenes. We'll have to wait and see. They also announced with Dice Master for many of their tournaments, they're going to start retiring sets of dice. They're going to have, the classic, whichever you can play all the Dice Masters, but they're also going to have a set where you can play just, I think it's like the last year or two, those sets. So if you can't find the old stuff, which would make sense. Speaking of old stuff, Fantasy Flight announced with their Destiny dice, the Star Wars Destiny dice, that each of their expansions will have one printing only. That they will have a starter set that they're going to print all year long for 1 year. Then they'll switch to the next starter set. But their expansions, and they're talking about doing 2 a year, there will be one printing, and that will be it. So let the rush for those begin. Okay, let's see. Hasbro has announced Pie Face Sky High, where you can have someone hit a hammer. I mean, they're taking this Pie Face to ridiculous extremes. But who am I to talk, since I just played yesterday Toilet Trouble? The world's largest Ouija board was built. A lot of time on people's hands. Plaid Hat has announced some more stuff for Ashes, some deluxe expansions. These are bigger expansions, I think, than the previous ones. We got Law of Lions and Song of Soaksend. I really like the cover for the Law of Lions. It's pretty neat. It's a properly armored paladin. Let's see. Thames and Cosmos has announced a few games coming up. We got Mag-O-Mag, and I'm kind of excited about this one because it's using that one person moving a magnet on a board through a maze, the other person's giving directions. That's a good idea. They've also announced a Column of Fire. We don't know much about a Column of Fire other than it's the 3rd one in the series of books. First we had Pillars of the Earth, which is being reprinted this year, and then World Without End, which I'm not sure if that's being reprinted or not, but this is the 3rd one, a Column of Fire. Okay, Batman game from Monolith. Okay, well, this one's going to make $1 gazillion on Kickstarter when it shows up, and then, of course, you'll get to play it in about 3 or 4 years. But I am pretty excited about this. A Batman miniatures game that's based on the Conan universe miniature game. That's pretty cool. I like Conan, right? I like that system a lot. The Conan universe I can take or leave, but I love the system behind it. You throw the Batman theme on that, I am there. I'm really excited about this, but might as well turn my brain off and play this in 2020. All right, and then the Asdor Awards have been announced. This is from the Cannes Festival in France. They gave their general award to Unlock, which is pretty interesting. Unlock is just barely coming out. This is from the Space Cowboys, so I'm really looking forward to getting my hands on a copy of that. Their advanced strategy game to Scythe, and then Go Cuckoo for the kids game. All right. Well, those are the different pieces of regular game news. Let's go to Suzanne to talk about fundraising.
Happy breakfast, everybody! We are running the gamut today with space races, dinosaurs, killer robots, and more. So let's take a look at what's happening in our crowdfunding world today. Dinosaur Island is a new game by John Gilmore and Brian Lewis. In this game, you're in a contest to build the best dinosaur theme park. Grow your dinosaurs from the DNA up, attract visitors, and make sure you have the right enclosures because nobody wants those dinos to escape. There's a lot going on in Dinosaur Island. It's really a worker placement game with action selection and auction elements. There are custom dice and plot twist cards that ensure game variability. A unique element of the game is the scalable play length from 60 minutes to 2.5 hours just by adjusting the endgame conditions. Dinosaur Island also plays around with an early 90s aesthetic with funky art and graphics from the great team of Kwanchai Moria and Peter Walken. And through already unlocked stretch goals, there's going to be some really rad dino meeples too. Pandasaurus is supplementing $10 of shipping costs no matter the location, and the base game takes a pledge of $60 plus shipping. Monikers is a popular party game with good reason. If you're unfamiliar with it, you are just trying to get a group to guess what's listed on a set of cards. The first pass, you can say or do almost anything. The second round, using that same set of cards, you can only say one word. And in the final round, again with those same cards, you can only use gestures or charades. The talented team from the Shut Up and Sit Down board game media channel has created their own 112-card standalone expansion for Monikers. Fans of the game and fans of the channel will definitely want to check this one out. Keep in mind, a number of the cards in this set kind of veer towards some adult humor, but they're full of the cleverness you've come to expect from Quinn's Matt and Paul. A copy of the Shut Up and Sit Down Monikers expansion takes a pledge of $10 plus shipping. In GKR Heavy Hitters, the year's 2117 and factions fight for salvage rights. GKR stands for Giant Killer Robots, and you're going to control a faction team in the Robot Demolition League that comes with a huge mech. Each of the 4 faction pilots have unique abilities that can be upgraded during the game, and ultimately you're going to win by either destroying your opponents or by tagging and demolishing buildings. You'll navigate around a city board, fight your opponents, and tag buildings, which also serve as cover. Tagging buildings will also get you sponsor cards that give you in-game bonuses. Weta Workshop is actually a Hollywood special effects company, and GKR has been in development with them for a few years. GKR Heavy Hitters comes with a bunch of stuff, including 4 painted mech minis that are huge, and modular building pieces, and really, this looks to be an impressive tabletop experience. There are a bunch of optional add-ons, but the base game for GKR Heavy Hitters takes a pledge of $99 plus shipping. In Strawberry Ninja, that stealthiest berry has invaded your garden. It's up to you and your kitten to apprehend it. This is a light, quick, cooperative game aimed at kids. It features stunning, whimsical art, and it's by the same designer of another lovely small card game, 3 Wishes. In Strawberry Ninja, you're going to lay out cards in a grid face down and then slide those cards around to reposition them. Each turn, you can reveal a card and follow its action, and then you get to move your kitty. When you think you've found the Strawberry Ninja, you can pounce, but you only have 12 rounds to find it. Publisher Strawberry Studios is actually a subsidiary of well-known NSKN Games, who is handling fulfillment, and a copy of Strawberry Ninja takes a pledge of just $10. AEG has revamped Mike Elliott's hugely popular deck-building game Thunderstone with Thunderstone Quest. This new approach updates the dungeon system by adding quests that consist of dungeon tiles, monster cards, treasures, and more. Thunderstone Quest really seeks to up the thematic and narrative elements of the game, and it features tons of great fantasy art. Using classic deck-building mechanisms, you'll complete quests, secure special cards, and defeat monsters for points. The campaign is already hugely successful and has unlocked a bunch of stretch goals, including minis for the player pieces and a ton of extra cards. You can get the basic game that includes 1 quest for a pledge of $60, and for $100, you can get a premium box, dividers, and at least 2 additional quests. And last but not least, Cosmic Run Rapid Fire is the 1 to 2 player roll and write game from Dr. Finn, the king of the filler. In this quick-playing game, you'll draft dice to race your ships for victory. Space mines will block your progress, and you can actually disable opponent ships shutting off a track with attacks. There are 4 different tech tracks, including missiles that will protect you from attacks. They also allow for diagonal movement, changing the track that you can access, and allows you to skip over some of those pesky mines. There's a really nice balance of luck mitigation and decision making, and there's also a friendly variant with less attacking and a rapid fire variant for even faster play. The game comes with 120 double-sided score sheets, and the B side actually has more challenging planet tracks to race on. And if you back this campaign, you'll also get the exclusive Tech Tools promo pack. You can get a copy of Cosmic Run Rapid Fire for a pledge of just $15 plus shipping. Okay, that's all I've got for you this episode. Hopefully something caught your eye. And until next time, I hope you have a wonderful week.
Hi everyone. Last week, the international auction house Bonhams has sold a patchy disc of mold for almost $15,000. The mold was first created by Alexander Fleming to make penicillin, a revolutionary discovery that gave the world antibiotics. In 1928, Mr. Fleming discovered the healing powers of his mold by accident. And since then, penicillin has been the basis for medicine that has cured millions of people all over the world. This week I am playing a game that lets players work together to cure the world. This week I am playing Pandemic. In Pandemic, you look at a map of the world and you can clearly see 4 diseases trying to take over the world. And you and your colleagues from the World Health Organization need to find cures for all 4 of those diseases before they take over the world. So working together and using the unique abilities of each of your team members is key to winning the game. Pandemic uses a very interesting and well-suited mechanism where cities that were already infected are under constant threat of worsening or even outbreak. Pandemic is in my top 10 games of all times and is my go-to cooperative game. It offers tension, theme and great gameplay, so I highly recommend it. That's Pandemic. My name is Dave Luza. Thanks for watching.
So what's coming from the Dice Tower review-wise this week? There's still going to be several reviews. If you've noticed, last week we posted a few of the live playthroughs from the marathon where we took them out and cut them into just a specific game. And we'll be posting some more of those this week and next week, so you'll be able to see the rest of those. So if you just want to watch one of the games. Unfortunately, our Time Stories Expedition Endurance, we recorded that and that file got totally messed up. I apologize. I don't know what happened there, but that's gone for the ages. However, we'll also be reviewing, let's see, Squirrel Push, the Chocobo Crystal Hunt will be coming out this week. The new Flip City Wilderness game we'll be talking about. I'll be taking a look at Mole Rats in Space, which is a kids cooperative game from Matt Leacock, designer of Pandemic. I'll be taking a look at the Cthulhu Monster Pack for King of Tokyo. So there's a lot of different reviews coming out this week. I believe we have a top 10 coming this week too, maybe? A top 10 games we want to see a legacy version of. You guys have been asking for that one for a while, so it's coming this week. And other things are coming. We got a Throw Punch Lunch coming out Wednesday. The Dice Tower main show will not be putting out a show this week, but we will be putting some out as some more as time goes by. We just need to take a break to put together episode 500, which we're going to be recording at Gamma and then posting a few weeks afterwards. So there's a lot of stuff coming from the Dice Tower. Of course, you can check out all the other podcasts and things on the Dice Tower Network at dicetowernetwork.com.
Chaz Marler from Pair of Dice Paradise here, continuing to bring you the freshest news and commentary from the world of board games. Yes, that's right. Even in the wake of Nintendo's long-awaited latest console, the Switch, being released to stores this week, some of us board game content creators managed not to give in to the temptation and continue to focus on physical card and board gaming. Because integrity. Integrity and dedication to the creative cardboard craft. Unlike some undedicated board game media makers, like Marty Cannell of Rolling Dice and Taking Names, who succumbed this week to the Switch's siren song, then tweeted me photographs throughout the day to rub it in. But it turns out the joke was on him, because Switch owners discovered a required software patch was released on day one. And the news of this day one patch even reached all the way up to me on my high horse. So, while my friends sat in sad silence as their brand new video game system painfully processed a plethora of patches right out of the box, those of us who remain loyal to traditional tabletop could continue gaming uninterrupted. I mean, after all, when's the last time that you heard of a board game requiring a patch? I mean, the very thought of that is ridiculous. Okay, well, except maybe last winter when Upper Deck announced that the Thanos main character card in the Versus card game was too powerful, causing them to actually immediately ban the card from competitive play and print a revised version of the entire Thanos card that will be included in the next expansion that's going to be released for the game. Or when Days of Wonder replaced the slave card that appeared in the first printings of Five Tribes with fakirs in subsequent printings. Or the ever-evolving errata for games like Magic the Gathering, which can do everything from simply clarifying how a card was intended to operate to revamping the entire combat timing and phases of the game. Seriously? Could it be that when it comes to content-altering patches, board and video games actually aren't as different as I'd first thought? I mean, while board game patches may not be as common as software ones, are they actually a standard presence in the tabletop industry after all? Well, unfortunately, my searing contempt for Marty has prevented me from being able to think this thing straight through this week, so I can't See, I can't even think straight. So let me know what you think about that. And let me know in the comments below of any board game patches that I missed.
Hello everyone, it's
Lunchtime! Today we're looking at the game Parade. Ooh, little Cheshire cat. It plays 2 to 6 players, plays about 45 minutes for ages 8 and up. It was designed by Naoki Hama and was published by Z-Man Games.
So this game is got a little bit of trickiness to it. Basically, you're laying out a parade of 6 cards, and the draw pile will be the start of the parade, so you can kind of remember which side is which. Then you're going to play from your hand of 5 cards, onto the end of the parade, so the other end. The number you play and the color is going to matter because you have to count. Say you play a 5, you got to count 5 cards. Any card beyond that, if it is the same number or the same color, you must pick it up. And the trick is you're trying to get less cards of the colors because you don't want these because the less points you have at the end of the game, well, you win with less points. Although, if you want to be tricky, you can try to gather the most of a single color because you can turn them over if you have majority, and they're only worth 1 point instead of the face point value.
I really like the Alice in Wonderland theme of the card art. I think it appealed to all of us. So for me, the gameplay is fairly simple, but there's still some good strategic choices to make as to which cards to play. And there's some cases where you might want to take certain colors of cards in order to minimize your points based on certain game mechanics. So.
Exactly.
Yeah, if I see my gameplay going down the tubes, like, oh, well, there goes my 0 score, then I just take all those cards so I can at least turn them into 1 point each. Why not? But art on this game is great. Alice in Wonderland, who doesn't love that? It's a bit of a doozy, I find, to teach sometimes, a bit confusing, but once you demonstrate, easy peasy, and people love it. So, definitely a fun one.
I've never played it with more than 3 players, though.
Oh, I played it at a really high player, and it gets really, I played it at 2, 3, I played it at all counts. 6 is crazy. So, but fun at all counts. Yeah. So that's it for us this time, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
So convention season is upon us. I always considered the Gamma Trade Show to be the opening of the convention season. Okay, this year it's going to be PAX. And we do a lot with conventions. I keep track of all our conventions in one of these notebooks. I'm a little bit old-fashioned that way, so I'll turn in here to March, and I can see I'm going to PAX, and then Gamma MeepleCon. In April, we'll be at the Gathering of Friends. And then here in May, we'll be at CMON Expo. In June, we'll be at the UK Gaming Expo and Origins. In July, of course, Dice Tower Con. And in August, Gen Con. And in September, we'll be at Grand Con. October, we're going to be at Essen. November, we haven't decided for sure, but we're likely going to be going to PAX Unplugged. And December, Dice Tower Cruise. that is a lot of different things to get ready for. And I wanted to talk a little bit about getting ready for a convention. And for us, getting ready for a convention starts way ahead of going to the convention. There's a lot to get involved. I mean, obviously, you get ready for any trip, right? You need to make sure you have your clothes and toiletries and all that stuff. Although you'd be surprised at the things we've added over the years sometimes. Like right now, one of the things we always want to make sure we have is medicine. Make sure you have some medicine because there's a good chance somebody is going to get sick. And buying medicine at hotels is extremely expensive, so it's good to have brought some with you. But we have more to do with that. When I go to any convention, I'm saying, okay, what are we doing at that convention? Now, some conventions are a lot less work than others. Obviously, there is getting the plane tickets and making sure the hotel rooms. Those are the big two things, the big two expenses. The third big expense is food. You don't think about that till you get there, but it is an expense. But that one you can take care of when you're there. Although, at bigger conventions like Gen Con and Essen, I will make plans for those even. Like with Gen Con, I will have plans each night where we're eating and if possible reservations just because of the lines and things at the hotels. I mean, at the restaurants. But you want to get to hotels. You want to make sure you have enough room for everybody. You want to make sure you get flights. And so you're constantly watching the airplane flights to see when they're going to be the cheapest because it is a big cost. It is a big expense to go to some of these things. So then I say, okay, what are we doing at the convention? Now, the two conventions that require the most prep work for us, well, there's three conventions that require the most prep work for us. One of those is Gen Con, and I'll talk a little bit why in a second. But the other two are very similar in feel, and that's the Gamma Trade Show and Origins. That's because at both of those we do interviews with publishers, and because of that, there's a big, long schedule. I have to make sure, I have to talk to the publishers, get them on the list, figure out who's running the cameras and the different things at each of these. And they can be exhausting, but we want to make sure that nobody's on camera for too long in a row because they get exhausted and tired and you don't want to ask the same questions. You want to keep people fresh and enthusiastic because I think it makes for better video. And then, making sure that the publishers get there. So when we get to a convention, my job is going to be running around and finding these publishers and saying, you're meeting us at 10 a.m. And they're like, what, I am? I would say about 30% of them forget every single time. I have to go and grab them and say, you're on in 5 minutes. That's part of the prep, is making that up, and that listing takes a while. The other part then takes place with Gen Con and other ones where we do a live show. We do a live show at Origins, Gen Con, Essen, and a few other places, and then I make the script for that show. Now, the Gen Con show is a really big deal, specifically because we do music and other things, and that's got to be scripted to a T. Origins, we have some more time to kind of goof off. Essen, those other shows are progressing to the point where we need to have those. And Dice Tower Con, we're going to have the script. We do the Dice Tower Awards. We do game shows there. And all this stuff takes a lot of work ahead of time. During the week, while the other guys are editing videos, a lot of times I'm just sitting there working on scripts and working on preparations for these and emailing people and calling people and say, you're going to do this, here, and that. And these shows, because I want them to run like butter, just smooth and silky, but, they never do. But that's a lot of work to get ready for these. And that's all prep that's done way ahead of time. And even for the booths, like say at Gen Con, there's different people covering the booth and Essen and stuff. So I make those schedules out ahead of time. And it's trying to think, okay, I want to make sure no one's there too long in a row, make sure everyone's kind of evenly spread out. Oh, this person's going to be at that event at this point, so they can't cover the booth, and things like that. Then there's the whole thing of packing. Now this week, and each time we go to a big convention, we always pause and say, what do we need? Now for the Gamma Trade Show, we have the most stuff that we need. We need to make sure we have Dice Tower signage. We need to make sure that we have our cameras. We have 3 cameras. This is just one of the cameras that's coming with us. And so we need to make sure we have the cameras. We need to make sure we have the microphones. We need to make sure we have batteries for the microphones. There's a lot of wires, and I don't know that we've ever gone to a convention where we've forgotten some wire or connector or one of those dongles for the Mac computers that we've forgotten. And over time, I'm building up a checklist that we check off, and hopefully they will get there. Then we got to figure out who's carrying what. These cameras are expensive. We don't want to check them in the luggage, so we're putting them in carry-ons, but the more cameras we get, the more computers, the more stuff that we're carrying, and you can only carry so much stuff, so some stuff's going to have to get checked, and that makes us nervous. The more tripods we have, lights and things, if we're taking any of those. So really, there's a lot of things that have to go. And so before each convention, we have to go through a pretty long checklist and say, do we have all this stuff? Are we going to be having promos at this particular convention? Okay, we need to make sure we have those there. Do we have containers for those? What else will we need at the booth? It is an exhausting thing, and I don't want to make it sound like conventions are bad, but there's a lot more work that go into them than you might think as you prepare and get ready for them. And so, like right now, I'm in full bore gamma show, prepping for that. And even with that, most of that has already been done. Most of that has been done in the background. And the instant gamma ends, I will be doing Origins prep. I've been doing Gen Con prep since last year. Gen Con it never seems to end getting ready for that. But I mean, look at the other conventions, at Cool Mini or Not. We're going to be doing recordings of different games there. So there will be some preparation involved with that. And I hope you appreciate that. I know that these live events don't always go as well, and people will complain and say, oh, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. But there really is a lot of work that goes on behind them. And we realize that human error is going to happen. Someone might get sick, or someone might do something wrong, or I might not have the best angle here. So each year, when we do something, we say, okay, we learn from that, we'll try to do better next year. And I hope you can see the increase. For example, take a look at the live marathons. I hope you can see how those have successfully gotten better as time goes by. We're still going to make mistakes in them. There's still going to be problems in them. But we're hoping that we don't continue to make the same mistakes and have the same problems. So the same thing it is when we go to conventions. So, lots of work that goes into these, but I hope in the long run it's good for you guys. I've seen on some forums, mostly Reddit, when people talk about how we use the money from the fundraisers so we can go on vacations to go to conventions. And I won't lie, conventions are fun to some degree, but they are the most exhausting thing we do over the course of the year. They're the most money-intensive thing. They're definitely the most time-intensive thing. Most of the time when you go to a job, many people, there's 8 hours or so a day. At a convention, you're on from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed. There's just that much stuff going on. And yeah, some of it's fantastic and fun, but it is a lot of work. And I hope that you can appreciate a little bit of that. And I hope that when you come by and say at a convention, don't say, oh, they must be so tired. No, saying hi to you, just talking to you is something that keeps us going. That's one of the reasons we go there. We're not going there just to work. We're going there also to see folks at the convention. I hope to see you guys at PAX/Gamma/MeepleCon. Anyway, let's keep going on with the show.
Hi everybody, welcome to Miniatures World. Well, this week it is one of my favorite times. That's when I show off all the really cool stuff that you guys did. So, without further ado, let's check it out. Well, there you have it, another Miniature World. Wonderful work by everybody, as always. It's always great to get your photos. And don't forget, you can email me all your work and questions at novaprime860@hotmail.com. Don't forget to like us on boardgamelinks.com. And, of course, as always, until next time, I'm Rob Warren. We'll see you soon.
Okay, it's time to take a look at another what's on the shelf here. So as we take a look at these games, we have two more shelves. We'll start over here. We have Pursuit of Happiness, which is a game that is like a Euro game version of Life. This one I find okay, but Melody really likes it, so that's why we kept it. Timeline Challenge, of course, is a fantastic historical teaching game, but not only do I have Timeline Challenge, but I have a whole ton of other timeline stuff in here. This game is chock full of things. Panic on Wall Street, I keep this game because this one works with 11 players. There's very few games that do that, and this is one of those. Concept a great party game, one of my favorite ones, 20 questions with pictures. Dos de Mayo, this is one I don't talk about very often. I'll have to play this one live sometime. This one, I have a very deluxe version of it. It's really nice, but it takes place over a game that's set in Madrid on May 2nd, 1808, it says here on the side of the box. A really good asymmetrical game. I also have Ignacio's Board Games That Tell Stories 2 book here. Then we have some games here. We have Traumfabrik, or Fabrik der Traum. This is a movie game from Knizia that I really enjoy. Power Grid. Of course, this is one of the fantastic. In here I got a couple extra maps too. Tales of Arabian Nights, you guys know I love that one for telling its stories. Manhattan, this is a great skyscraping building game. And Aladdin's Dragons, which is from Richard Breese, one of his key series as you go and steal stuff from dragons. Incidentally, these games are the longer box games. I don't have that many of them anymore. Most of my games are in the square boxes like over here. Jet Set is a great game. I'm going to be reviewing the second expansion for it soon from Watzel Play. Think of this as an advanced Ticket to Ride style game. So that's what's on the shelf this week.
Hey, this is Mike with the Board Game Makeover. How many of you, when you were younger, collected baseball cards? I started around age 12, and I had a few of them around, and I kept them going for a while, and then I stopped for quite a while. But then when I hit college, I started going to baseball card shows. While other people were playing Magic, the Gathering, I was collecting sports cards, putting them in order, and holding on to them. I decided when I was in college that sports cards were the investment of the future. And so did about 1 million other people. And then finally I realized these cards are nothing but quantity. Very little quality. Is your board game collection like an old baseball card collection? Is it based on quantity or quality? Or maybe both? And how big are you willing to let it get? Do you cap it at a certain number? And that number, how did you come about that number? Let's say your board game collection is 300. How did you come about saying, I'm going to own 300 games and that's it? And then the next year, maybe 350. A lot of good games came out last year. How will you be able to contain that number within your board game collection? My board game collection is contained within this shelf. If I can't fit it in the shelf, it's got to go. It keeps a limit on how many games I own and what kind of games I own. One of the games that I'm going to get rid of is called Planet Steam. This is the first version, so it's kind of, they don't make it anymore, and I already have a buyer for it. But the number of times I've played it, I can pretty much count it on one hand. But in that game are some custom components that I made for the game that are not going to be sold with the game. This is my custom poker chip box that replaces the money. These are awesome chips. And I would like to give them to you if you own this game already. Put in the comments below if you own the Planet Steam version 1 game, because these are made for the version 1 game, and I will compile those from the comments, and I will randomly choose a winner, and I'll send it to you free of charge. USA only though, sorry about that, because it costs so much to send it overseas or to another country. Unless you're willing to pay the shipping charges, then I'll add your name to the list. Just some food for thought this week. Thanks for watching the Board Game Makeover. I'll see you next time.
Hi there, my name is Niels from Cyril's Brettspiele, and today in the best and the worst we are talking about Hero Realms. Hero Realms is from White Wizard Games, and let's see what I like on it, right? My favorite part on Hero Realms is by far it delivers. It exactly do what it should do. It is technically Star Realms with a fantasy theme. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 different fractions exactly like Star Realms. That is cool. So if you like or love Star Realms, like a lot of people out there, you immediately figure out this is exactly the same. But honestly, this is exactly also the flip side of the coin, because is that really new? Is there something really new in Hero Realms over Star Realms? Question mark? Well, that is up to you, but in my opinion it's a second release of Star Realms, which is again brilliant, but is that really what you want? I don't know, it's up to you guys. Thanks for watching my favorites on Hero Realms from White Wizard Games. See you next week here on the Board Game Breakfast. My name is Niels, bye bye!
Welcome to Play Like a Girl. I'm Christina.
And I'm Melissa.
And we're from Girls Game Shelf. And we're super excited to tell you about what we've been playing lately. It's Marrying Mr. Darcy. Now, this was a Kickstarter game a few years back, and it was recommended to me by a Kickstarter backer from our show, Doc Knock. Thanks, Doc Knock, for telling us about the game. And it's awesome! It's so great! I know this is our second Board Game Breakfast, and they're both about games based on books, but we're those kinds of girls. And it's funny, because normally, I wouldn't really go for a card that's like, ooh, make yourself attractive to different suitors. But because I love this story and this book and, like, what these women had to deal with so much.
And she was always making fun of that anyway.
Yeah!
So it's like, it's okay.
Exactly. So it's super fun. So basically, the idea of the game is, everyone has a character card that gives them certain points, and you want to match yourself to the best suitor. But in order to match yourself to the best suitor, you have to gain certain character traits that make you more attractive to them. And there's different elements too. Like if you get certain cunning, if you get cunning points, it doesn't help you win the game, but it helps you in the proposal phase of the game, where you get to attract suitors to yourself. You have your character and your goals, and you have your character cards that you can play and events that happen, like this one. This one is unladylike behavior. And you, use this card to discard a rival's friendliness card. So you get cards that can mess up the other maids that are trying to get a suitor. I like that stabby element, because it's a kickback to the book again. So it's really fun. And then there's also expansions. Like there's the Undead expansion, which I didn't even know. She just told me that it was an actual movie.
Oh yeah, Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. Like, how did she miss that?
I totally missed that. Under a rock. Marrying Mr. Darcy. If you enjoy this book, if you enjoy good card games, you should definitely check it out. Yeah. It's awesome. Anyways, if you want to see more episodes from us, check out Girls Game Shelf at www.girlsgameshelf.com. Bye!
This week I want to look at another 2 small box card games from Germany. Die Splinter ins Kunstwerfen! That was in German. No, just the one sentence. Oh. Yeah, if I'm honest, I don't really understand any of this. Ik wurst no Bahnhof. That is it. Our Echo is a fantastic game for 3 to 5 players by Susumu Kawasaki, and where you're kind of playing crickets that come to life in the middle of the night and play with trash. Yep, that's the theme. And the whole point of the game is you're trying to collect factory cards, which equate to points, by playing down sets of cards onto that factory, but then you have to take all the trash cards back into your hand. Or something. Our Echo is an absolutely fantastic game. It's this marvellous balancing act where you're trying to play cards down without taking cards that you don't want and trying to force cards onto other players. And this review is absolutely doing no justice to the game at all, so I advise you watch a real review, because it really is a fantastic card game. And the other game, which I absolutely recommend, is Basari das Kartenspiel, which is the card implementation of the game Basari by Reinhard Staub, and it's a re-implementation of the game Edelstein and Reich, which is way out of print. What you're doing is you all have action cards, and you simultaneously, if you're the only person to choose an action, then you just get to do it, which is taking victory points, or collecting workers, or trading up gems. If everybody chooses the action, then nobody gets to do it. But the crux of the game is when 2 people choose an action, where you have to go out into an all-out bidding war, trying to not lose more gems than you're going to gain. And it's just, again, a terrible review by me, but a fantastic game. Und danke für Ihre Aufmerksamkeit und an mit der Schach.
In part 1 of How to Snakes, the Teaching, we talked about the general structure that you should use when teaching most games. This time, we're going to talk about when you should deviate from that structure and provide some extra tips that will improve your game teaching game. The more you teach the same game, the more you'll understand when you need to deviate from the general structure and when you don't. You'll also learn how to tailor your teach to specific groups because everyone learns a little differently. No matter what you're teaching though, it's a good idea to get the players involved with the teach from as early a point as possible. Hey gang, can you do me a favor? Shuffle that deck and then deal 4 cards to each of you. When players are asking questions, that's a good sign that they are engaged in learning the game. Unfortunately, if they ask too many questions, it can bog down your teach. Now, children are especially notorious for this sort of thing because they will just ask whatever question pops into their mind whenever it occurs to them. What I like to do is ask people to hold their questions until I'm done my teach, and then if I haven't addressed your question, you can ask it then. It's a good idea to periodically check for understanding with the table just to make sure that everyone is up to speed on the game and you haven't lost anyone. If you see nothing but blank stares, then you know there's a problem. So, if 3 1s earn you 1 star and 3 2s earn you 2 stars, what do you get for 3 3s? If they can't answer that, you know you've got to start fresh. One universal experience is seeing customers struggle with complicated games. Some games are complicated for good reason. They're very intricate, they're large, and not everyone is willing to put in the time and effort that it takes to learn these sorts of games. But some games are overly complicated for no really good reason. And so we as a team are constantly looking for ways that we can edit these games to make them easier to learn. Many people struggle with scoring fields in Carcassonne. One way to deal with that is to teach the game without farms, and then, on a group's second run at the game, we introduce farms and farmers. Headbands uses these plastic victory point chips. You start with 5, and every time you guess a card correctly, you give up one of your chips. Or you could just use the cards as points. Every time you guess one correctly, you keep it, and then you can forget the chips completely. Some games edit themselves. Flashpoint from Kevin Lanzig and Indie Boards and Cards provides an advanced version and a family version, which is much simpler. So, if you're playing with people who have never played Pandemic or other co-op games, just ignore the advanced components. What game teaching tips work for you? Do you have a favorite trick that helps learning a game go faster? If so, tell us about it in the comments below.
And that's it for another Board Game Breakfast. See you at 2 o'clock for a live Q&A. Don't forget the contest that we are running. Make sure you get rooms at the hotel at the Carib Royale. Sign up for Dice Tower Con. Don't forget that. All right, guys. Well, I will see some of you at PAX later on this week. Until next time, I'm Tom Bassel, and this has been Board Game Breakfast.
Thanks for watching Board Game Breakfast. Tune in each week for your daily dose of gaming goodness with Tom Vassell and all the gang. Until next time, I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching Board Game Breakfast, a Dice Tower production, sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., an amazing place to buy board games. Cool stuff, in stock, at CoolStuffInc.com.